Hello, Steel City Surge fans. This is Skippy here, coach of your Steel City Surge, back after a couple months hiatus from Draft League with SPDA Luxury Ball. As was gracious enough to allow us to join this division for upload required, and I'm very excited to get into this season. We are going to be running mid-tier Terra with free Terra preview each week, so we have to disclose our Terra types prior to the match to our opponents. And we had a very interesting draft. Unfortunately, we did not get a great selection. We were on the tail end of the draft order at number 13, so not a great place to draft, but it could be worse. We could be closer to the middle of the draft order. So with our first pick, we ended up having to settle for Greninja. Now, I've used Greninja a couple times before. It's a very useful mon. It has a lot of very nice options for it. It's a great pivot. It can be a great cleaner. It's very unpredictable with protein as its ability. It can be very useful or very tricky. It also gets battle bond, so we can run some cleaning or wall breaking sets, but we would have to get a KO before that can trigger for us. It also is a nice spikes user with toxic spikes and spikes for hazard stacking capabilities, so it's very nice for that, for early pressure, and again, like I mentioned, for late game cleanup. Now, our next pick to pair with Greninja, I was very happy to see this guy still on the board. We ended up going for a little bit more bulk, but some physical wall breaking prowess. We picked up Iron Hands. This guy is very tanky, especially on the physical side, and very physically offensive with good sweeping potential as well as just overall good bulk. It's just an absolute tank and can utilize moves like Drain Punch for recovery, as well as very good coverage with like Earthquake, Ice Punch. It even gets like Supercell Slam and Wild Charge and like Thunder Punch for its stab as well on the electric side. So it's a very good tanky mon, and I'm very much looking forward to using it, especially with Quark Drive, so we can get a very free attack boost from this potentially. Very good as a knockoff absorber as well. In background, we had to wait a while for our next pick, and maybe got sniped a couple of times in the process, but we ended up coming away with a very, very good mon in my opinion, something that I haven't gotten to use either yet. We picked up Enamorus. Now, Enamorus is a very interesting genie Pokemon. It is fairy and flying, but it doesn't have any stab for flying, so we can't really use that typing. It's more of a defensive typing for it. It's just like a very offensive version of Togekiss. It can be a mixed attacker since it has very good physical attack and special attack, but it has the ability Contrary as well, which is very good for free setup with like superpower. We can utilize Intimidate against our opponents with this, so we can be physically offensive, we could be specially offensive. It doesn't have the best coverage, especially physically, but specially it does have pretty good moves like Earth Power and Stab, Boom, Blast, so it is a very, very useful mon and very good for special wall breaking. It's also decently fast and covers very well with speed tiers with Greninja, 106 speed, and Greninja's 122 base speed pair very well together, so very happy with that selection. Now, coming down to our next selection, I wanted to kind of go a little bit with something I've used maybe once or twice before, but I did want to get a couple of roles compressed together with this pick, and we ended up making what I think is a very good selection in Glimmora. Glimmora is a very good specially offensive mon. It has 130 base special attack, so it's very good at breaking on the special side. It is a grounded poison type with a dual rock type, so pretty good offensive mon, and grounded poison is always really good. It also is the main hazard setter, I would say, for this team, because it gets access to all forms of hazard outside of Sticky Web, so Stealth Rocks, Spikes, and Toxic Spikes, and especially with its ability Toxic Debris, we get free Toxic Spikes anytime a physical move hits Glimmora. So it's very useful for there, and it has really good stab options with Sludge Bomb, Power Gem, and even Meteor Beam, as well as good coverage with like Energy Ball and Earth Power. So this guy is very, very good for hazards, and it also can remove hazards with Mortal Spin, which is very nice. Glimmora pairs pretty well with our next selection with hazard control, at least. We picked up Donphan. A lot of the really good spinners were gone by this point, so picking up Glimmora and then getting Donphan right after is pretty good in my opinion. Donphan is the classic rapid spinner. Very, very good rapid spinner with good priority with Ice Shard. Stab Earthquake just hits really hard with this guy too, with like 120 base attack, so very good physically offensive. It's also kind of a physical tank with 120 defense as well, and it is a good electric immunity with that ground typing, so very good mon. Very much going to be used as like a remover, maybe a little bit of a physical tank. And it also gets access to Sturdy, which is kind of nice, so we can take a hit, especially when we have heavy-duty boots, so we don't need to worry about taking any sort of hazard damage when switching in. It's very nice for that. Now, moving on, something that I think pairs very, very well with like Lamora, for instance. This guy was kind of sitting there on the draft board in the tier list, and I was looking at this and I'm like, I need like a ground immunity that's not enamorous, that's kind of tanky, but I also want a steel type. Corviknight was already gone, so I ended up selecting Bronzong. Bronzong is a very good budget steel type that is not weak to ground, and it also has a fire resistance if you run a heat proof. It's not weak to ground because it's running a levitate ability most of the time. It's very good. It is vulnerable to knockoff, but it is very flexible with that ability that I mentioned, and it adds to a Fairy Dragon Steel Core. It's also a very good Psychic type and can run a couple of things like Trick Room. It's got good, decent support. It's also another Stealth Rocker, so at this point I have 3 Stealth Rockers. I'm feeling very confident about my hazard stacking, so I'm not too concerned about anything else, and this is just a good budget pivot mon, so can take hits and can potentially dish them out too. Now, moving on from Bronzong, we're getting into the tail end of our draft. We are still needing a couple Terra Captains. We had 20 points to budget towards Terra Captains, and we got our first one here with Shaman. Shaman is a very interesting Terra Captain. It can run a lot of defensive Terra types, like Terra Flying, Terra Fairy. It could run Terra Water to become a bulky water type. So it can be very useful in that sense. It can be also offensive with like Terra Flying or Terra Ground, or even Terra Fairy again for Dazzling Gleam. But it can be basically anything. It's got 100 in every single stat, so it can be physically offensive, specially offensive, it can be physically defensive, specially defensive, it can be fast support. There's a bunch of different ways we can use this, and with its signature move Seed Flare, it is a very strong grass type move that can lower special defense, so very, very nice, and it kind of pairs very well for a fire, water, grass core. We have 2/3 of that. Looking back at the rest of the team, we have basically a Psychic, Dark, and Fighting core, and we are mostly done with a Fairy Dragon Steel and Fire, Water, Grass core. With our next selection, we are going to end up selecting one of our final cores here. We're going to get Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat rounds out that Fire, Water, Grass core. It's very bulky, it's a nice pivot. It's a very good fire type, I would say. It would be nice to add this as a Terra Captain, but unfortunately we do not have that ability since it was 10 points, or it was 11 points, and Shaman was also 11 points for Terra Captain. So unfortunately we could not pair the two of them together as Terra Captains, but I'll take one or the other. Basically with Rotom, it is a very good pivot. It's pretty bulky. It is a little susceptible to rocks, but it is Levitate mon, so it's another ground immunity, which is super nice. I always have ground type issues with my drafts, so having multiple immunities to ground or resistances is always very nice. Yeah, this guy's a very good support one too with Thunder Wave, Will-O-Wisp access. Can be a good pivot with Volt Switch, or if you want to run like Overheat, Eject Pack, something like that, it'd be very good there. And it can also just be a Choice Scarfer with Trick. It can just obliterate stuff with Stab or with like Hex shenanigans, stuff like that. So it's a very nice mon, very useful this late in the draft, so happy I got that guy. And our next selection rounds out that Fairy Dragon Steel core with a Dragon type. We are going to pick up Dragalge. Now Dragalge is another poison type, so it's a second grounded poison, which I don't think is a bad thing since it's more of a specially bulky mon. Kind of pairs decently well with Donphan, I would say. Maybe even like a different type of Lamora, because it's got adaptability and Sludge Bomb access and even Sludge Wave. So it can still hit really hard as a special attacking poison type. But it gets access to like Flip Turn. It's a dragon type with that adaptability that I mentioned. It can hit really hard. It can be a nice bulky special pivot. It can be a nice bulky physical pivot. And gets access to a couple of different coverage moves, which is really nice. So It's a nice budget mon for a dragon type as well as a poison type, so if I wanted to move on from Glamora later in the season with a free agent transaction or something, we can do that with Dragalge on the team. And our last selection is going to be our second Terra captain. We are going to get Terra Cramorant. I call him Cranks. Cranks is the best boy. This guy is just for fun. Basically, the rest of our team is all set in stone for the most part, so this guy was just kind of there. We had 3 extra points. We needed a second Terra captain. Cramorant with Gulp Missile is going to be so fun to use, especially with Terra, so we'll probably have a couple of shenanigans there at some point in the season. So that is our team for SPDA Luxury Ball. We are very much looking forward for this season. I'm very much looking to see how we perform against some of these other people in this league, but should be a fun time. I'm looking forward to this and getting back in a draft league, so check out next week's video. It will be week 1, so keep an eye out for that. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and put in a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week for week 1. Peace.